Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The Sultanate, before the United Nations General Assembly, affirms it is adopting in its international relations an approach based on supporting peace, coexistence, tolerance and dialogue. The Sultanate urges all countries to give due consideration to the entity of the United Nations and its role in international relations. And the Sultanate, Iran and India discuss enhancing economic cooperation and benefiting from Iranian gas. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Excellency Sher Bahadur Diupa, Prime Minister of Nepal, will arrive in the country tomorrow, Monday, on a several-day visit. His Excellency the Nepalese Prime Minister will be accompanied during the visit by his wife and an official delegation comprising His Excellency Krishna Bahadur Mahara, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister. His Excellency Fasmullah Mansoor, Minister of Labour and Works. Her Excellency Asha Koirala, Minister of Women, Child and Social Affairs. Dr. Diush Bahatsi, Advisor at the Foreign Ministry for the Prime Minister Affairs. His Excellency Shankar Das Bairaji, Advisor at the Foreign Ministry. Her Excellency Sharmila Baragoli Dahakai, Ambassador of Nepal to the Sultanate, and a number of officials. The visit comes to enhance bilateral relations linking the two countries and support existing bilateral cooperation in various fields in a way that serve the joint interests of Omani and Nepalese people. The Sultanate affirmed that it is adopting in its international relations an approach based on supporting peace, coexistence, tolerance, dialogue, close cooperation with all nations and people, non-interference in international issues of countries, and settling disputes with peaceful means. This came in a speech delivered by His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, before the 72nd session of the General Assembly of the United Nations. The Sultanate urged all countries to support peace efforts and participate actively in spreading peace as a global culture at all levels. It also called for exerting more efforts to give due consideration to the entity of the United Nations and its role in international relations, and for bearing the responsibility to achieve international peace and security. The Sultanate also urged in its speech in New York to find a binding contract that filled the gaps appeared in the Treaty on the Prohibition of Weapons of Mass Destruction. It also condemned all forms of terrorism and expressed its support for all efforts aiming at eliminating it. The importance of enhancing relations with Iran and India in the field of economy, especially in the energy sector, top discussions of Their Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah, Mohammad Jawed Zarif, Foreign Minister of Iran, and Sushma Swaraj, Foreign Minister of India. His Excellency the Foreign Minister of Iran stressed that the meeting focused on the possibility of cooperation and relations developed among the three countries, with the hope that the countries will fulfill their needs of energy through import and export. During the tripartite meeting with Excellency, the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs said that it witnessed exchange in points of views on a number of matters of common concern, in addition to benefiting from the Iranian gas, as well as overcoming the obstacles facing gas supply pipeline in the deep waters of Sea of Oman and the Indian Ocean. On his part, His Excellency the Iranian Foreign Minister had this to say during the tripartite meeting.
We discussed about possibilities for greater cooperation between the three countries who have been very good friends. and possibilities for us to be complementary to each other in terms of our energy needs and other requirements. So a very good preliminary discussion.
Still to come in our news bulletin. The archipelago of thousands of islands in the Indonesian's Papua region hopes to tap into its tourism potential, but indigenous Papuans want to safeguard their island paradise. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. In a statement to the Sultanate of Oman Television, His Excellency Mohammad Javad Zarif, the Iranian Foreign Minister, stressed that the nuclear deal is a global achievement. He also added,
Everybody that we have talked to is sending the message that the nuclear deal is a global achievement, which is not a bilateral or even a multilateral agreement, but a decision by the Security Council, supported by the international community, and it's been working, so it should be continued to be respected, and the United States should also stay with it.
Chancellor Angela Merkel and her husband Joachim Sauer have voted at a polling station today near her home in Berlin's Mitte neighborhood. Merkel is widely expected to win a fourth term in office as Germans go to the polls in an election that is also likely to see the furthest right-wing party in 60 years. The anti-migrant Alternative for Germany win seats in parliament. Merkel has campaigned on her record as Chancellor for 12 years, emphasizing the country's record low unemployment, strong economic growth, balanced budget and growing international importance. Germany's President Frank-Walter Steinmeier appealed to his fellow citizens to go out and vote because these elections are also about the future of democracy and the future of Europe. Pollsters say many of the 61.5 million Germans who were eligible to vote had remained undecided until the very last moment. British police say today that a suspected acid attack in East London injured 6 people, adding that they had arrested a 15-year-old male. Police were also called late yesterday to the Stratford Centre near London's Olympic Stadium after a noxious substance was sprayed during an argument between 2 groups of males. They say the incident was not a terror attack. There were 431 acid attacks in London last year, 398 of which were carried out in Stratford's borough of Newham. Police said the injuries sustained were not life-threatening or life-changing. Police officials say they are working with the Home Office to explore possible restrictions around the sale of corrosive substances in conjunction with retailers and manufacturers. Tens of thousands of North Koreans attended an anti-U.S. rally at Kim Il-sung Square in Pyongyang. The North's official agency said more than 10,000 people gathered for the rally yesterday and delivered speeches supporting the recent leader Kim Jong-un's statement. Kim Jong-un said on Friday that the North will consider the highest level of hardline countermeasure in history against the United States in response to U.S. President Donald Trump's threat to destroy the North. Trump called the North Korean leader a madman after Kim dubbed him a mentally deranged U.S. dotard. Trump also said on Twitter yesterday that Korea's Foreign Minister Ri Yong-ho and leader Kim Jong-un won't be around much longer. A tableau of white sandy beaches, colorful coral reefs and turquoise water, the island of Raja Ampat are set to be Indonesia's next tourism hotspot. But locals fear the government is failing both them and the environment in its development push. Here's a report.
A picture-perfect scene. This is Raja Ampat, an archipelago of 1,500 islands that stretch across 67,000 square kilometers off Indonesia's Papua region. The area is home to some 1,400 types of fish and 600 species of coral, and is one of the most biodiverse marine habitats on the planet. The government hopes to tap into its tourism potential.
I'm optimistic that one day we will be able to compete with other tourist destinations in the world, because Raja Ampat has so many beautiful natural spots.
But residents here worry that a push for the tourist dollar will harm their environment and culture.
I believe the central government should approach this based on our cultural needs. It should intervene by listening to the cultural aspirations of the local people.
Earlier this year, around 13,500 square meters of pristine coral reef, an area bigger than a football pitch, were accidentally destroyed by a cruise ship. Indigenous Papuans here hope that an eco-friendly tourism will become the norm to safeguard their island paradise.
The Ministry of Commerce and Industry announced that the registration period of companies and industrial institutions that want to participate in Sultan Qaboos Award for Industrial Excellence 2017 was extended until the 8th of October. It is worth mentioning that the award aims towards the continuous development in the performance of industrial operations so as to keep up with the current and future stages in terms of technology. A course for making Khanjar bells was held in Wadi al-Ma'awil in the governorate of South Batna. It aimed to qualify girls in the wilaya to master this profession through weaving. The Department of Crafts Industries in the governorate of South Batna, in cooperation with bodies concerned, seeks through this course to preserve the well-known ways of making bells for the Amani Khanjar with various shapes and colors in addition to other materials made through weaving techniques. Now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Partly cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the governorate of Dhofar and its nearby mountains with chances of intermittent drizzle. Rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies with chances of scattered rainfall over the Hajar mountains. Winds will be southerly to southeasterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1 meter. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we enter tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Sultanate, before the United Nations General Assembly, affirms it is adopting in its international relations an approach based on supporting peace, coexistence, tolerance and dialogue. The Sultanate urges all countries to give due consideration to the entity of the United Nations and its role in international relations. And the Sultanate, Iran and India discuss enhancing economic cooperation and benefiting from Iranian gas. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studios and the newsroom, it's good night.